briefly introduce once again the study course or the subject of today's webinar, Political Science, International Relations. Here our guests, as already mentioned, the first presentation will be rescheduled most probably to December. Also about the organizer of this webinar, which is my German university, Germany's largest database. It still says English taught study programs, but it's all programs because now you can also find German taught study programs in the study finder. Always feel free to narrow down the search, find most suitable program, save it, and have all the information in one place. So it's really useful for everybody who is searching for study programs in Germany. We also have more than 200 comprehensive articles. Those articles are very internationally oriented because as internationals, we are also went through this way of applying and studying and living in Germany. So we try to write all of that in the articles in different languages. So there are multiple translations available. And of course, our webinars where you can take them as kind of counseling because we have general and subject webinars. In general webinars, I or my colleagues discuss broader topics like UniAssist, scholarship, visa, opportunity card, blocked account separately. And then we also have a 30-minute Q&A session. And for subject webinars, as today, of course, you know about them, and you have a chance to already being in your country, connect with your future program, ask questions. I know many programs, including this, also offer one-to-one counseling, so to say. But yeah, this is another option from our side. This is our team. We are based in Hamburg, Germany, counseling in different languages. And on the here you can also see our founders. All right, so I use the study finder on your behalf. And if you search programs for political science, international relations, English only, or English with some German, it shows you 80-degree programs. Then you narrow down to bachelor masters, but there are still a lot of programs to select from. Therefore, you can adjust different filters from here and then sort programs according to criteria, let's say application deadline or ranking. We have brand new subject pages that are super interesting and also informative. Actually, we had subject pages earlier as well, but now we have redesigned it and provided like more aspects of different subjects. So on the example of international relations, you can see this is how it looks like the very first intro. Then you can find related subjects, the narrow down search for programs according to rankings, according to popularity and other things. And you can also find description of the subject, approximation of tuition fees, application admission requirements, language requirements, and so on. Very, very important is to always check each program content individually. Do not assume that all German or programs offered by German universities have deadline on 15th of July. It's not correct. Maybe many programs do have, but the deadlines are always different. Within one university, there could be different deadlines. So please make sure to really understand the program in terms of its content, requirements, and then start application. And I will also mention about the same topic in the next slide. But before that, I want to mention about the university landscape in Germany. There are universities and universities of applied sciences. Universities usually have programs that are more research and theory oriented, and universities of applied sciences usually have application and practice oriented programs. But going back to my previous slide, all programs are very different, and make sure to check them because there could be exceptions on both sides. On the example of one of the programs to present it today, I wanted to mention that it's really important to check qualification requirements before you start your application, because in case the qualification requirement is, let's say, C1 English and you have only B1, it's not possible to apply. I mean, you can apply, but then you are not eligible for this program. So, of course, you will not be then accepted unless there are some super extra exceptions for admission in this case, but it will be always mentioned. All right, then let's right away give the mic to Professor Herdecke, who will be presenting Master in Philosophy program, Philosophy, Politics, and Economics. And for the quick facts, you can have a look at the screen, but it's more interesting to listen to Professor. So the mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Nina. So I'm very happy to present our program today. My name is Herdecke. I'm a professor for theoretical philosophy, and I'm one of the two founders of this program. And I'll try to give you a brief overview, not only about the program, but also about the university. And then I'll be happy to receive your questions. So let me share my screen. So this is the master program in PPE at Witten Herdecke University. And this is our part of our campus, very green, but also we're quite small, and that's by design, as I will tell you in a second. So here's what I want to do, give you a brief overview of what it means to study at our university and what it means to live there. I'll give you some details on the program, and then, as I said, I'll be happy to receive some questions. So one thing you have to know is that this university is special in certain ways. It was the first private university founded in Germany. And from the very beginning, it had this idea of offering a different kind of university education, university learning, and studying. So there are various aspects to it, but one is that in all situations, we always teach and learn in small groups. And we have one of the best student-teacher ratios in Germany. So that means our idea of studying is that we create a community. So we are not only sitting together in the classroom, but also we typically invite students to hang out with us in a cafe in Witten, or have some other kind of excursions. We also do hiking trips or something together here and there. So we try to really form not only a community among our students, but also with us together as instructors. And so I said it's small by design, so that's also the idea. We intentionally keep our programs, this master program, small, so we typically accept between 20 and 25 students per year, because we believe it's very important that people are in very close contact with another. We also are a university, so we tend to combine teaching and research in various ways. So all of our instructors, the professors, they are still active in research. Some of them at the very top. So we have ERC grants, we have DFG grants among our colleagues. And also we try to get our students to do research here and there. So I've published together with students papers, and I try to encourage them whenever they do something well to see whether they can publish it somewhere or contribute to some kind to a research project. We also try to really help our students in many ways. So maybe, as you know, there is a general problem of international students in Germany not finishing their programs and not really finding their way. And I can say for us, we've been very successful in allowing students to actually complete their programs, and that's because we give them a lot of support. Okay, so we have a lot of individual support services, but also we have student initiatives that take care of other students, if you like. So we have not only initiatives that would focus on other students, but they do work on lots of different topics. But it's part of the idea. So when you study at Witten, you will not only come there and you will not only sit in the classroom and go home afterwards, but you will be involved in many ways and you will be active in various initiatives. Here's a small overview of what we have. So we have, for instance, this Erasmus Student Network. So there's some students that constantly try to improve the situation for our international students. We have an initiative that organizes a PPE conference each year. We have people that work for Amnesty, people that work for the Red Cross, various kinds of groups, very diverse. But I would say the majority of our students are active in one or two or more of these initiatives. And again, that's part of our idea of studying, okay? That we create a community together and we engage with topics also beyond the classroom. Also, here's another ingredient of this idea. We demand from our students that they take a certain set of classes from what we call the Studium Fundamentale. So this takes place each Thursday. And no matter what you study, whether it's medicine, psychology, management, or PPE, or whatever, you always will also take classes that are completely out of your subject area. Okay, so this can be choir, it can be orchestra, it can be arts, it can be data science, it can be various kind of things. Rhetorics is an example here. So we believe that studying will also, I mean, is also about developing one's personality. So that means we want you to look a little bit beyond the horizon. And we try to do it, among other things, in this way. So Studium Fundamentale is an important part of our studies. It will form roughly 8 to 10% of your studies will be spent in this Studium Fundamentale. And it's a great variety of courses that you can take. You can also check it out online. About our location, so we are located in a very small university, which, however, is part of a larger industrial region. So all of it together, the whole Ruhr area, so-called, has about 8 million people, but Witten itself only has about 100,000. It's located in the midst of Germany, and so a lot of larger cities can be reached within a few hours. So Cologne is 1 hour away, Düsseldorf is 1 hour away, Hamburg and Berlin 3 hours. And also because we're located fairly close to at least 2 airports, well, 3 actually, it's also very easy to get to other cities in Europe. Anyway, that's maybe what's important to know about our location. It's basically in the very midst of Germany. And the city itself is a place where so there's this region called the Ruhr area where there used to be a lot of coal mining and steel production. And this city of Witten lies at the very south end of it. And actually that's where the coal mining started. So it's it has an industrial history, but it's still very green. And it's quite affordable for German standards, especially in shared flats. It has lots of cultural activities, leisure activities. So students also have started their own activities in the city. Some students have started their own restaurants or cafes and are very active also in the city. So the city itself, as I mentioned, here is 60% green spaces. So that makes a good condition for leisure time. Important to know is that we try to, so we are a private university, meaning that, of course, we have fees. However, we try to make it socially manageable. So even if you don't bring money from your parents or something, we try to offer you a way to study with us. And that means there are 3 ways of financing your studies. So you can pay with a direct payment. You can do a half-half payment, and meaning half-half means the other half falls under number 3, namely you pay after you've completed the study and repay depending on the level of your income after graduation. You can also do it all the way, so you don't have to pay anything while you're studying, but only after you've graduated, you will pay back. And I think there's a little illustration of how it works. So here's the idea. If you are a student right now, that means that the current alumni are financing your studies. Whilst when you've graduated, you will be one that finances students that are studying after you. There is a cap, so it's the amount that you pay. Again, depends on your income, meaning if you happen to be unemployed or you raise children or something, you don't pay anything. But up to 10 years, you will pay, I think by now it's 6.5% of your real income. Okay, so that's the idea. It's a solidarity idea. For now, you can study for free, but later, when you have graduated and you've made a career, you will help other students to finance their studies. There's lots of stuff on this online, so you can also ask us later, maybe if you need more details on this. Important thing to know for all international students is that, of course, we need a long-term student visa. That can be sometimes a hassle. As a non-EU student, you have to apply for it, and the visa process can take some time. So that's important to know. And also, you need to prove that you have financial means in the background. So you need to put almost 12,000 as a block, 12,000 euros, of course, in a blocked account. Or you have to get a scholarship that will secure your funding for the time that you study, or at least half of it. and otherwise you will not receive the visa. So that's very important to know. Without this kind of financial backup, you will not be granted a visa. Yeah, if you have questions so far, I'm checking out here the box. So far, I don't see any. If there are no direct questions so far, I will give you some more details on the program itself. So the PPE, Philosophy and Politics Economics program, is one in which, let me just check. Okay. So the PPE program is one in which we have political science as one of the three disciplines, and international relations, of course, is also part of this political science branch of the program. However, we believe it's a unit. Okay, so the idea behind it is that the real problems of the 21st century, they don't really care about boundaries, and they don't really look for academic disciplines. They can only be tackled if we look at them from various angles. So what we need, we believe in this world that we live in, is experts that combine the expertise of different disciplines. And in order to make this division of scientific labor productive, we need the experts for the integration of scientific knowledge. Okay, so that's the idea behind putting these three disciplines together. And so why studying it in Witten? So I already mentioned a few things about how our university believes teaching should be done in general. About this program, so what you often see is when universities offer these kind of multidisciplinary programs, they tend to what we would describe, design them in a vertical structure. So we have some people, some courses are contributed by the philosophy department, some by the political science department, and that's it. So we thought we will try to do it in a bit of a different way. So we call it the horizontal structure of the PPE. That means almost all courses have some interdisciplinary ingredient. So when you study philosophy with me, it will always have some connections to economics and political science, and it will be the other way around as well. Apart from the very basic courses in which we offer, some updating, and especially if you, let's say, come from the economics and you want to study in our PPE, we give you some basics in philosophy, and those basics courses, they are focused on the disciplines, but all other courses are really interdisciplinary. The first year is taught in hybrid format, meaning that you can study from a, remote. So we're sitting in the classroom and we have cameras and we have inside the classroom screens. So some people sit in the classroom and some sit outside. And actually, for the first year, you can just decide from where you want to study. And typically when I teach, I have something like 2/3 of my students are sitting in class and the other ones are at home or are in their home countries. We do this partially because we know that the visa process takes some time. And sometimes when people have applied successfully, it doesn't mean that they will make it at the beginning of the semester to Witten or to Germany. So that offers you some flexibility. As mentioned, we focus on real-world problems in many, many ways. We also try to involve a lot of practitioners as instructors in various elective modules. And as mentioned, we try to implement this special Witten didactics, so small classes, interactive teaching. Also, students are always asked to contribute to the courses. So for instance, I typically have various sessions open where I let the students propose topics that we study together. So that's one way of how the students are asked to co-design with us, not only the courses, but also the whole degree. So for instance, we have modules that we call independent studies, where students just come up to us and ask us whether they can study for one semester a specific topic and then write maybe a course paper on it. And then we agree to this, we set a schedule, and the students just study this very topic that they want to focus on independently, of course, with our supervision. So that means we try to make this program such that it allows students to have a maximum of freedom, and they have a major say about the content of the seminars, and they're encouraged to do their own research. So now I see some questions now. Maybe I'll continue for now, and I'll answer the questions in the end, okay? Unless there's something very urgent. Okay, yeah. Or maybe this is the first. Sorry, this is the question I should maybe answer already now. To what extent are the theories of international relations touched upon in the curriculum? And one more, how heavy is the focus on research writing? So one is in the basics in the first year, the political science branch takes about 1/3 of the program. However, when you go to the elective part of the program, which is the second year, you are quite free to design your program. So we already have several modules on international relations inside, but also you can even add some yourself. So for instance, as mentioned, you can go to a professor and say, listen, I want to focus more on international relations. Here's something that I would like to study for the next semester. And then only individually, one-to-one with the professor, you will study that topic. So in that sense, you can design a bit yourself how much international relations you would like to have in the program. And how heavy is the focus on research writing? Now that is also optional in a sense. So these independent studies that I mentioned, we like to use them sometimes to encourage students to try to write something that they could publish later, but it's not necessary. So it's also your decision whether you want to go that way. I'll also explain in a second that in a way we've now even put 2 tracks in the program. One will be more research oriented, one is more practical oriented or practice oriented. So short answer is it actually depends a lot on you. Okay, what you decide, how you want your degree to look like. And it is, of course, you have to write course papers in various classes, but it's not necessarily something that will necessarily lead to a publication or something. So that depends a lot on on your own goals and your interaction with the professors. Okay, now I see some questions, so actually I just continue. Do we have scholarships? We have 1 scholarship, but unfortunately not very many. Yeah? So this is actually, we have this solidarity financing program allowing students to pay after they've graduated and not pay while they study, and even paying only depending on what their real income is afterwards. We take that to be already very helpful in financing your studies, but we don't offer additional scholarships at this point. And how quickly you send the letter of invitation? So that works the way, the following way. We have interview sessions. So it's 1 day where you go through 2 interviews plus something additional. And on the same day, the committee decides whether you were offered a place or not. And on the next day, you receive the offer. So in that sense, it depends on when your we call it selection seminar or selection committee is scheduled, and this you can find out by just asking our admissions office. I'll give you the details on the contact details later. There's another one. I've mostly done quantitative work so far. Will that be problematic? No, of course not. So you can even study this degree if you have not done any of these disciplines before, because we have this introductory part. The first year focuses, or at least the first semester, tries to give you a background, and very intensely, of course, in these 3 disciplines. Having done quantitative work usually helps because, of course, we also require to complete the course in quantitative methods, and quite a bit of what we do in economics and some of political science is quite quantitative. So that's actually very helpful. Your disadvantage may only be that maybe you've not studied these 3 disciplines before, and we have noticed that, of course, for instance, in philosophy, it can be sometimes challenging to get into this kind of thinking and this kind of these kind of topics. But that's for you to decide. There's another question. Okay, that's something else. All right, good. So I'll continue a bit. Students or applicants typically ask us, what are the career perspectives afterwards? And the answer for us is, until today, quite interesting, because we've found out that our students really go in very different directions. So what we've not seen, also for the international students that join us and complete a degree with us, what we've not seen is unemployment. They all got jobs, as far as we can tell, and we are still in contact and in touch with a number of them. Of course, it's true that many of our students go into politics, or they work for international NGOs. They go into political and economic consulting. We've also seen people going into in international management, social entrepreneurship, strategic management, and also quite a few then do a PhD afterwards. So what's the explanation? We believe it's because this program tends to attract very committed and ambitious students. So they typically find their way in whatever they want to achieve. So I brought some examples. So here's Alexander Ritter. So he started actually through Witten. He got this idea of starting a social entrepreneurship where he brings programmers from Central Africa to work for European companies. There's often, problems of communication, organization. So he's founded this organization, or this company that helps to raise potential in Africa for European firms, and of course for those working for these firms, it's a great opportunity maybe to start a career also in Germany or somewhere else in the world. We have some people like Herdecke who completed our PPE and now works for E.ON. It's a large energy company. Carla works for Bring. Some of you may know this. And Diego is now working for the World Bank. So he came from Venezuela and has returned, and I think now he's based in New York. So very diverse fields and very diverse ideas. I brought some quotes. Maybe I'll just read one of you from Stefania. In addition to my studies, I was able to get involved in student initiatives and thus actively help shape society. Personally and professionally, it made me grow enormously. So that's what we believe should be happening with the program, right? That you don't only study the contents, but also you have the opportunity to develop personally, to make connections, to learn more about the world, and get some ideas of what really matters for you when you go out into the world after the degree. Here's some more people that also, are doing very different and interesting stuff. So Leah, she works at NGOs GmbH. It's a company that works with TV productions. So here's Jan Martin. He's the co-founder of Digital Alliance, the world's first fair trade creative agency. Then we have Leah, who's done a PhD and now is a manager of science, and 𝘈𝘷𝘦𝘳𝘵, who's done lots of different things. But among other things, he's now trustee and chair of finance and strategic planning committees at Good Women Association. So again, very different fields, but I would say quite a few very interesting. So there have been some more questions. Let me try to answer them quickly. You mentioned quantitative methods course. Which program language is taught there? So there we teach mostly R. SPSS, I'm not even sure right now that's used. I know R that's what they focus on. And it is taught, yes, from the basics. However, of course, if you've not done any quantitative methods before, it can be a bit challenging. So we try to help a lot with tutorials and various support measures. So I think the success rate in general is quite high also of this course. But sure, it's a challenging topic if you've never heard anything about it before. But again, our completion rate of international students is extremely high. We have very few who actually drop out eventually. And that's because we really try to give them a lot of support, also academically, but also beyond. Okay, so here I think I wouldn't worry too much as long as you bring some commitment to really manage it. That's always important with us. Do you require publication samples for admission? No, we don't. So you have to write something. So we ask you to reflect on some topics. Typically, it's a topic from current day politics or something, and we ask you to reflect maybe on a team experience that you have had. The committee reads actually all of what you've written, and they will also ask you questions about it, but you don't have to submit written examples. It's not a PhD here. This is a master's program, which is, if you want, supposed to prepare you for doing a PhD, but it doesn't require yet for you having published something, okay? So that's not really required. Or even that, you have to submit a coursework. That's not what's required for us. Is it right that in this field, when it comes to the career in Germany, if you do not speak German, the only fitting? Yes. So this is a good point. I should have mentioned this before. So we have noticed that international students have struggled more finding jobs a bit more when they have not learned German. sufficiently well. However, we offer German courses also at our university, and we encourage all the international students to learn German. And most of them have been very successful, so they managed quite well. There are also a number of people who now have become German. So they came through Germany through the program, and then they found a job in Germany and have decided that they will become German, and they got a German passport. So it's definitely manageable to learn German within a year to a sufficient level, but also here it really requires some commitment and some will to manage it. Okay, so that's what, if you bring that, we have all the support measures to help you to actually do it. Having is work, yes, work experience actually does help a little bit, because we're looking for, so as I said, we have a very small program, and so it means we're looking for people that are very different from the start usually. So we believe that it's important that we have a diverse crowd, and when you have some work experience already, it helps in a way, because you already bring something, right? We need our students also to bring something, to contribute something to this learning experience. So it can help, but it's not a necessary requirement, okay? Yeah, so maybe that's all I should say. And now there was another part of the question. Now the question is gone. Sorry, I can't see what the last one was. If I forgot to answer something, maybe you want to write again into the chat what it was. Okay, so here now a bit more detail. Now this goes really already into the modules. I'll try to just give you the very general idea. Here's how the program looks like. You see in the very beginning that we have introductory courses, philosophy 1-2, politics 1-2, economics 1-2. So we try to cover really some of the basics in the fields. If you come from, for instance, a political science degree, you still have to take these classes. But of course, it will be much easier for you. But we decided we want people to refresh at least their knowledge. And yeah, so far people have not really complained about it. They typically said something like, yeah, it was good to see the same stuff taught in a different way again, or something like this. So that's what you go through in the first year. There's also a mandatory module now called Leadership and Transformation. And then here's the methods courses. And then we have, I hope you don't hear my little daughter, because she, yeah, sorry, I have my daughter with me because my wife had to go to another meeting as well. Anyway, so here you have some methods courses, and then what you see here is you can choose in some sense between what we call now a research-oriented track inside the program or a practice-oriented track, if you want. Okay, so there is the practice project, and there are some majors that you can take, philosophy and society, for instance. But there's also a major leadership and transformation that will even involve some management courses. And the idea will be that if you want to go, for instance, into an NGO later, to manage an NGO, maybe this is the track you want to choose. But again, also here, these are soft recommendations, okay? So you can take, you can go in one of these directions, and you can take a major, but you don't have to. You have to complete these 45 ECTS in the electives, but you're very free on how to do it. Here you see again the Studium Fundamentale, and the master's thesis, of course, completes the program. Is the final level at this, here's another question, is the final level at this German course B2? So you don't have to have achieved B2 or anything like this when you enter the program. It's an international program. You only need to speak English. That's it. When you apply later, so when you apply for jobs in Germany, then B2 at least will be very important. C1 is perfect, okay? So the goal will be for yourself when you start studying with us, that you complete a B2 course by the end of the degree. And again, we have it at our university, so you can take it with your fellow students together. It's manageable, but it requires some investment. I think that's all I want to say on these details. This is the final slide. So at a glance, as I said, it's a master's degree. It's a Master of Arts. It's a full-time program. The start is always at the winter semester. It's 4 semesters. We typically accept between 20 and 25 students only. That's That's our goal. Everything is taught in English. You can the first year at least, in some elective modules, you can study in a hybrid format. You can stay even at your home country for a while and then join us later. Or some students, maybe, you know, if a relative got sick, they studied further with us and they had to then go back and help out in their families, and then they still were able to continue studying with us. So that's why we believe this is a very good format to study this degree. You can do a stay abroad. I didn't say much about that, but there is with various partner universities, and you can apply to one of them. The application deadline does not exist, so we accept submissions all year round. But if you want to start in the winter semester, for instance, in 26, you want to start at the winter semester, it will be important, if at least if you want to have your visa until then, that you apply latest in February, maybe March. Okay, so this you need to keep in mind. Admission requirements are a BA or a BSc with at least 180 ECTS and TOEFL at least 83. And particular interest in these interdisciplinary studies, which you show us by your writing, by answering the questions that we sent you. That's it. I think that's the last slide. Are there more questions?
Yeah, first of all, Professor, thank you very much for doing like the presentation and also taking the questions. And yeah, there are no more open questions. I don't see. So as for the recording, in case the recording is approved by Professor later on, then this will be available. Yes. And the next one is, can someone who is over 45 apply?
Yeah, there's no age restriction on the program. However, I should say, when you are at this age, you should have a very good plan of why you want to study this program. So it's very clear that when you are 24 and you apply for a master's degree, your future is open, right? And so that's understandable. But when you've passed the 40, it should be clear why you want to do this degree. Okay, so you need to explain to us very well why it helps you, why it maybe helps a project that you want to complete. Yeah, but it's possible.
Mm-hmm. And can one follow up with PhD with you?
So yes, we have several people who have done a PhD also at our university afterwards with us. So we have a PhD program that starts, a regular PhD program. And the way it typically works is that already doing the master's degree, you get in touch with one of the professors if you want to do a PhD with us. And then, of course, the professor has to accept you. And that depends very much on your level of achievement during the MA and of course the proposal, so the topic that you want to do the PhD on. So a professor can also reject it and say, this is not something I believe in as a good PhD project. But yeah, so several people have done it also in our place.
Mm-hmm. Great.